Hello and welcome back to Calathea. In the last episode, we built this golf course resort on an island next to the rich district. Even though the golf course isn't functional, it's classed as a city park, so we still get tons of tourists coming down here. There's a bus route that acts as a shuttle to the nearest metro station. We've had loads of visitors so far to both the golf course and the restaurants and shops nearby. I had a lot of fun with this build. It was something very different to everything else I've done so far and really gives this end of the map some personality. In today's episode, I'm going to be doing something different once again, and we're going to be building another tourist centre that's focused on nature. I'm going to be utilising the cabins from the Hotels and Retreats DLC, as well as making a nature reserve. We're going to be working with this piece of land over here. Previously pulled this train line all the way around the end of this mountain because I want to put a station in for this district. This piece of land is so tucked away from everything else and has a real quiet and exclusive kind of feel. It's also got loads of existing features, such as this old factory in the middle. There's also a little old rundown house as well, loads of felled trees, an old abandoned ship, and some old bunkers on this island. There's also a couple of waterfalls here and here, so I'm going to be utilising nature a lot in this build. There's going to be some housing over here, although that's not going to be the main focus of the build, just so we have people to work in the commercial areas and the hotels. The nature reserve is actually going to be on this island here. I'm going to be doing a lot of terrain adjustments and adding some trees so it has that real rural kind of feel. It's physically cut off from the mainland and separated from the rest of the city by this huge mountain range. So the first thing that I'm going to start with is putting in a train station and doing a road map. Okay, so here is a very basic outline of this new tourism district. This area up here is going to be mainly log cabins with a few parks. This part here is going to be the main centre of the district with a few shops and restaurants. This area over here is going to be mainly residential, and then this island here is going to be the nature reserve. I decided to turn the chasm that runs through the middle of the island into a river, much like I did with the Capital City Build. I think it looks so much more interesting to have two pieces of land and then I can put some nice bridges in. Obviously it's a very long way away from everything else via road, so I'm hoping that most people will come down here via train. Now that I've got a station down here, I'm able to pull the circle train line all the way around the map rather than going back and forth between stations. So we now have two different lines, one running clockwise and one running counterclockwise. Counterclockwise route you can see coming in here, it's that light cyan blue, and the clockwise route is a dark cobalt, and there's one just coming over the hill now. So this should hopefully take some pressure off of some of the train lines, as people will be able to get to where they need to go to faster on multiple different routes. But this station may end up getting very busy with the amount of people coming down here, especially as the road access isn't easy. So now that I've got my road map in, I'm going to start my build with the town centre. So here is the town centre of this district. I've gone with mainly eco assets from the Green Cities pack, And I've tried to create little market areas using the 1x4 commercial assets from the Green Cities DLC. There's a lot of people coming into this district now and they are complaining about not having enough workers, so I need to get some more houses in soon. I think this is a pretty good start. There's lots and lots of people coming to these beaches down here. Much like in the other district, the people are just walking into the sea. Because this district is all about nature, I thought I'd go with the most eco-friendly options for everything. So we've got wind turbines, we've got a water tower, got solar panel covered car parks, got biodome and a bird and bee haven and a recycling centre. I'm going to try and keep that theme going as much as possible with all eco-related assets and make this a bit of a nature haven away from the main city. Now that I've got the town centre built, I'm going to build the residential area to get more people in. The little residential area finished. It's all eco houses from the Green Cities DLC, and I've tried to use as many different assets as possible using different orientations, different lot sizes and different shaped buildings. The only facility they have over here is an elementary school because they have a much smaller capacity. There's a high school nearby in Duchess Bay, which they can get to on the train, and there's a fire and police station in the main town, although I may add a fire station down here just in case. I've tried to keep the houses off the main road because this will be the route to the nature reserve, so I didn't want anyone suffering from noise pollution by being too close to that road. Now that this residential area is finished, I'm going to move on to the log cabins that are up in the hills up here. So the San Francisco inspired district has given me a lot of practice for working with roads like this, and luckily the log cabin assets are fairly small. I'm going to put a few small parks up here as well to fill up the hotel criteria, but there's not going to be too much up here because it's meant to be all about nature. This was quite a simple build in the grand scheme of things. There's only so many hotels to pick from and only so many assets that will actually fit up here. So it's just a couple of the mountain lodges and a bunch of cabins and then some other assets dotted in around it. These little glamping pods are from the workshop. They're not functional, but they look like they're places that people can come and stay. And I love the idea of having a glass pod up on this hill because the view at night would be amazing. You can see for miles out that way. I also put some zoo cafes in here. I really like the way these buildings look. I feel like they go with the theme quite well and they add entertainment value for the hotels. Couple of the tiny parks down here, and then one of the tourist parks. I kind of tried to keep the market theme going with this one. And there's a playground, one of these little play parks from the workshop, a bunch of cabins, a basketball court, and then a bunch more cabins. I love that there's animals wandering around this area. There's quite a few spawn points in this part of the hill, so there are bison and deer just wandering about, which kind of fits this theme so well. For a relatively easy build, this actually looks quite good. And again, I've tried to stick with the eco theme by using solar panels. Usually I just put these in when I'm building and I need some electricity quickly, but I think I'm going to leave them here because it's so far away from the rest of the district, the grid is never going to connect. So now that the mountain lodges are complete, the last thing left to do is the nature reserve. Now this piece of land is quite hilly and it already has a lot of features on it. So I'm going to be building around them, but also I'm going to be adding things like trees and a few more terrain adjustments to make this feel a little bit more like a nature reserve than just an island. The nature reserve that I built in Paloma Valley has had over 100,000 visitors and it leveled up so fast that I actually missed some of the level ups. So I feel like I'm pretty good at doing nature reserves. It's not that difficult to do them, the assets are really small and I spent most of my childhood on a campsite, so it's pretty second nature to me. So I'm going to get stuck into building.
Thank you.
just about done with the nature reserve. I had so much fun building this. I love campsites, and as a kid I always wanted to build my own one. So having this pack is like a childhood dream of mine coming true. This is a tropical themed nature reserve and I haven't done one of these before, so it's slightly new territory, but I feel like everything else is pretty much the same. I think I've got at least one of every asset in here, so let me give you a tour. As you come in, there's a small shelter site on the left hand side. This is on this kind of lower flat piece of land before you get to the main island, and then there's the museum on the other side of the road. Now there's a lot going on here with lots of tents and lots of cabins, but I tried to keep all of the tents to one side and all of the cabins to another. There's lots of mini tent groupings over here. I tried to use a variety of different tents, some bigger, some smaller, with different things in the middle to keep it interesting, and I've tried to put them up on different elevations so that they all have a different view. There's also a couple of these bouldering sites, another one of these shelter groupings, and then a couple of these tent parks down here as well. Over this side is some rows of cabins. I've used some of the bigger ones and some of the smaller ones, and each row has a little campfire shelter at the end, apart from this one, which has a fishing cabin. I did do a bit of terrain adjustments for this park to give it some elevation up here, because I wanted to put some lookouts with some really great views up here. So the first level down here is a small little lookout tower and a campfire site, and then there's another layer here with another lookout tower and a viewing platform. And then all the way up here, if you can manage to walk this far, is 3 viewing platforms at the top of the hill. Now these would have amazing views back onto the mainland and also out to sea, and you can even see the waterfall from this angle. You can actually see the top of the Empire State Building from the Capitol, which is insane because that's really far away from here, but that just goes to show how big the buildings are in the Capitol. I'm so happy to see that it's getting so much use already. We got to level 2 really quickly, and I think we're about to hit level 3, so it won't be long before it's maxed out. I'm really happy with what I built today. I'm glad that I was able to keep as many existing features as I could, and I think the eco theme carried through quite well with this area. I'm glad that we finally got this side of the peninsula done, so now the train line can go all the way round, and that part of the build feels complete. I'll probably come back into this area over time and add a few more houses and a few more shops depending on demand, but for now I think I'm happy to leave this area be. The map is just getting so full now, and I'm really relieved about that because I was worried I wasn't going to be able to get all of this done by the end of October. But we've got about 3 weeks now, and there are a few more themed builds to do, and obviously there's a lot of empty space, but I'm determined to get it finished by October 24th. Let me know in the comments if you've got any district or park name suggestions. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.